Okay, one of the big things we will actually be using is working with a lot of stuff with parallel lines. And you got to remember, you got to look for parallel lines because things are true. We have relationships between angles when we have lines that are parallel. You cannot simply just do it for any kind of combination. So we got to make sure they're marked correctly. So here's some key concepts that we have to be aware of. Make sure that you know your angles. So first of all, corresponding angles. So corresponding angles are angles that have the same position relative to the transversal in terms of the parallel lines or the other lines that's intersecting. So here's a transversal. That's the line that cuts through these other two lines. So some corresponding examples would be angles 2 and 6, 4 and 8, 1 and 5, and then 3 and 7. So they correspond. They have the same spot. Now, when we have parallel lines, and these are marked as parallel, corresponding angles are congruent, but you need to know that they are parallel. If they're not parallel, we cannot make that conclusion. So that tells me that angle 6 and angle 2 have the same measure. Alternate interior angles. Well, this tells me that they alternate, so opposite sides of the transversal, and then on the inside. So angles like 4 and 5, then 3 and 6. Those are alternate interior angles. And again, when we have parallel lines, angle 6 is going to be congruent to angle 3. That's because the lines are parallel. So parallel lines, then alternate interior angles are congruent. The third type of relationship we have are same side interior. So same side, that means they're on both sides, they're on the same side of the transversal and they're both on the inside. So for example, angles 4 and 6. Now I colored these in different colors because they're not congruent. 3 and 5 are also same side interior. Angle 4 and angle 6 are not congruent. Angle 3 and angle 5 are not congruent to each other. But they do form a straight angle. So if I took angle 6 and I slid it up so it matched with angle 2, I get a straight angle, which I know adds to 180. So parallel lines, same side interior angles are supplementary. So let's look at a kind of a problem we're going to be doing. This one's going to involve you having to communicate and give reasons why you're coming up with your conclusions. So we're going to find the measure for angle X, and we have to give reasons for your answer, which means we're going to have to say what we're doing at each step, and they can vary completely. So you're going to get some complicated figure. It might look something like this. Pay close attention to where your parallel lines are. My lines that are parallel are this line, that's the little arrow, and this line. These are the ones that are parallel. Now, I have seen books, I'm not planning on doing this myself to make them nasty or anything else, where they mark these two as parallel. So if it's marked parallel, then I can go over and I can use my relationships. So I got to fill in my reasons. Now I'm trying to figure out what angle X is. That's this angle right here. I have lots of ways to get to angle X. And it's up to you which way you want to do it. Well, one thing I can do is I could say angle F is equal to 115 because angle F and angle B are a linear pair. They're going to add up to 180. Or you could say angle F and B were supplementary. That would be okay. Or angle F and B form a straight angle or a line. Anything along those lines. Well, I know that's 115. That would be a legitimate reason as you work it. Well, if I know this angle right here is 115, then this angle and this angle, well, I have parallel lines, and you can kind of see the connection. Let me change colors real quick. You go over and you look, it kind of forms kind of like a Z shape when you do alternate interior angles. The two sides right here are together. So it makes like a Z shape. Okay, so angle X is going to equal 115. Now the reason why, because angle F and angle X are alternate interior. And when parallel lines, alternate interior angles are congruent. So I need to see this kind of a statement as part of the process. Now you could have done this problem different. You could have done, the problem where you said, okay, I'm going to first figure out what G is. That's okay. G equals 65. Well then, G and X are same side interior and they add to 180. Okay, that would have been okay also. You may have then gone over and said, okay, G and K were congruent, and then K and X form a line. There's lots of different ways of doing this. The one that doesn't help you is this one. The P equals 128. That's not going to help on this kind of a problem. So that's not with the parallel lines. So you got to be careful because there'll be distractors. We're labeling the angles to make it a little bit easier for you to give your reasons.